But fellas, we were talking about Prime earlier. We're gonna talk about another head coach who's now in college football. That is one Bill Belichick. He's agreed to a 5-year deal to become the new head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. I'm gonna let Harrison go first because we all know he's a Duke guy, North Carolina guy. He's the North Carolina resident here on the show. Harrison,
Uh,
Belichick seemed like he wanted to come because, again, his father used to be there for the team. He even had the sweatshirt at his press conference going back to 1953. And now he's bringing his son Steven there on the staff. What's your thoughts about Prime going to North Carolina?
they ain't bringing that bell back. They ain't bringing it back. That's for damn sure. They ain't bringing that bell back. I'm just gonna say this right now. Manny Diaz is still gonna be a way better head coach than freaking Bill Belichick. I don't care. I don't care. They not trying to be all talk, but I know we're gonna talk about Belichick. But imagine choking a 20-7 lead. Imagine choking it in the middle of the third quarter. So I'm gonna say this right now. I think they're gonna suck. I think they're gonna suck. We've seen it from Dion because they went 2 wins like last year or something like that, and then they actually went. I think they're gonna suck this year, and then I think they're gonna be good like next year. That's my personal opinion, but they ain't bringing this belt back. Our belt's still staying in Durham.
BRF.
Nah, you know what? I don't think it's gonna suck. And you want to know why I don't think it's gonna suck? One thing Bill Belichick knows how to do. One thing I will give Bill Belichick: when he has to hit free agency, he'll hit it. What better way to come in your first year as a new head coach and you have the transfer portal like right there staring at you in the face, waiting for you to use? And certain quarterback in Texas, you might want to talk him into coming and foregoing the NFL draft because you know they want to go to Arch Manning next year. So why not bring Quinn Ewers with you? Just saying. But that's neither here nor there. I think with the college football landscape is, I mean, he if I'm Bill Belichick, I wouldn't go in just, I don't think he's going to go in thinking just off the bat that he knows he's going to come in and just succeed off the bat or like be ultra successful. Like, he understands there's levels to this, and college football is a different beast than the NFL level because there's recruiting outside of your school. Hell, with NIL and transfer portal is recruiting within your school, and then is reporting to your higher ups. Whether it's your ads and all that stuff is reporting to them as well. So I mean, it's a completely different ball game. But at the same time, this is still Bill Belichick we're talking about here, and he's gonna bring like a similar. He's gonna bring it's like a similar feel with him, and it might be more when you like say like Dion when he took the Colorado job. He's bringing name. He's bringing the cachet because you know him from the pro games. He's the greatest corner that ever lived. So he's already bringing that. He's bringing cachet there because players relate to him. Players know him, and it's like, oh man, it's Deion Sanders. And you kind of saw that a little bit. You kind of seeing that a little bit. And I think with Bill Belichick is gonna, I mean, whether people want to admit it or not, it's gonna work in a similar fashion because it's Bill Belichick. It's the greatest pro football coach to ever grace a field. I mean, let's just speak it for what it is. I know college is different, but at the same time, with him bringing that cachet, he's going to draw recruits. He's going to bring people there. My biggest thing with Bill Belichick is how quick he gets it turned around in North Carolina, and not just that, the eyes he puts on the program. Because let's face it, I mean, it's still the ACC, and them schedules aren't exactly like top tier to where the creme de la creme are going to be like, oh man. Like, you're not, I don't care how good of a coach Bill Belichick is, you're not going to choose watching Bill Belichick coach over Alabama, Georgia, and Athens next year. Let's just keep it a buck. If they're on the same schedule, you're not watching North Carolina over Alabama, Georgia. I don't care how good of a coach Bill Belichick is. It's just about, but him is mainly about establishing the culture and trying to turn the wheels there a little bit. I do think he's going to be successful. I think he's got a. I mean, maybe not like 9, 10 wins off the bat, but I think he could have them in with the right scenario, with the right pieces there. I don't know, with a coach like Bill Belichick who still understands defense, who's going to bring his people in there. Particularly, he's got his son coming with him in the fold, and he's not exactly a bad coach in his own right. So I mean, he's gonna have
Better not bring
people in
Josh
place.
McDaniels. You better not bring
Well,
Josh McDaniels.
look, as an offensive coordinator, I don't care. Just don't have him as a head coach. Bring him as an OC. We know he's a good OC, but I mean, from what I understand, he was wanting it to where when he leaves North Carolina, Stephen Belichick's going to take over that job anyway. So I mean, like he's trying to put that in place already. But I think he's got a shot to do something good the first year, maybe 7 or 8 wins. But like I said, if he really wants to cause some chaos, tell Quinn Ewers to stay another year and come to North Carolina. That'll ruffle some feathers.
I kind of agree with the Archie Manning one. I think that would be a really good option for Bill Belichick. Personally, I'm with the same boat as you. So
You might as well get yourself an established quarterback than one of these young quarterbacks, whether if they're a 4 or 5 star. Might as well get an established quarterback, someone who's already been there. Champ, what are your thoughts?
I'm concerned. I'm very concerned because the thing is, I don't know how well he's going to be able to relate to these young guys because we didn't see we saw how he did in New England once Tom Brady left. When Tom Brady left, so did the Patriot way. You know, and you see the correlation of that. And you saw that not only you know, with the New England Patriots for a short period of time, you saw it with Greg Popovich and the Spurs for a short period of time up until now, where Victor Wembanyama got drafted. Excuse me. So the thing is, I'm concerned if this were 10 years ago and he did this, well, even 8 years ago before NIL, where Bill Belichick had total control and he still had control over these coaches and these players, and he was able to run things like he did in New England, I would really be excited in order to see it because this will be Bill Belichick in all of his glory because he's the pro version of Nick Saban. They cut from the same cloth. So, and if Nick Saban, if Nick Saban left, because of NIL and some of the things that was changing throughout college football, what gives me the confidence that Bill Belichick can do what Nick Saban was having a hard time doing, him being the greatest college football coach ever? So I'm concerned. Do I think he will have a decent few years? Yes. Do I think that he's going to go to the ACC and just knock it out of the park? No. Like I said, this is a new day and age of the new athlete. And the NIL money, the personality, these guys trying to get branding deals, and I don't blame them. These athletes have been making money for these huge universities and getting these coaches $100 million contracts for years. For years. They have been getting paid for years off the backs of these young players. So I don't blame them. So, but I will say this: I don't know how successful he's going to be going from the NFL to college. Because the thing is, it's like this: if this were total control, a couple years back, yes. But this is a whole new ball game, and I don't know. But like I said, and you got to think about this: Was it really Bill Belichick and him having an eye for talent, or those guys just being able to play with Tom Brady the way they were? You got to think about this. That people will say, well, he found Julian Edelman. Yes, I'll give you that. I'll give you the credit for a lot of the receivers and the skill position players that you found. But the thing is, was it really you having an eye for that talent, or Tom Brady bringing the maximum of their ability out of them? You have to ask yourself that, because you stunk it up as the general manager these last couple of years in at the New England Patriots. You stunk up the joint. You didn't sign the correct talent. You didn't get the correct talent. So it's going to be interesting to see that now, once again, you have the power in recruiting. The ball is on your court in every little thing. You got to work out every minute and small detail. And now you have total control all over again. How are you going to act with it, and what are you going to do? Because after Tom Brady left, the Patriot way was gone. Now, more than ever, you're going to have a revolving door. There's not going to be any constants in this team. So I don't have as much faith as people are saying. I think he can be a good coach. Do I think he can compete? Do I think in the next couple of years, he's going to be able to compete with Kirby Smart and some of these guys that are winning football games and are in playoff contention left and right? No, I don't. You got to ask yourself this. Did you go to college because that's what you wanted to do? Or did you go there because the NFL no longer saw it fit for you to be there, and they thought the game had passed you by? Got to ask yourself that, because if that was the case, look how many terrible coaches are in the NFL right now. Mike McCarthy being one of them. So, I mean, the coach up there in Chicago, he just got fired. New Orleans coach, the Aints coach, he just got fired.
Dennis Allen,
he just got fired. So, I mean, and from what it looks like, Antonio Pierce may not last a year out there in Las Vegas. He's on his way out. Not to mention, Tom Brady was on record saying that he would love to reunite with you. He was on record saying that. So you got to ask yourself this. Did you go to college, back to college, because that's where you wanted to go? Or did no one else want you and you had to go there? Question that has to be asked.
did you read my script? I was gonna say exactly the same thing that you said, Jeb, but you just beat me to it. What great minds think alike, as always.
Hey, that's why I call you the New Jersey genius, man. The New Jersey mastermind. Great minds think alike, man.
I think he took this job is because primarily he couldn't evolve with the NFL at times, and he wasn't the same after Tom Brady's departure. Look, Mac Jones may not be the best quarterback in the world, but don't tell me he can succeed with Matt Patricia and Joe Judge as his offensive coordinators. That's like giving me government cheese. Okay, I mean that's the best you can give me. That's all you can give me. Just Matt Patricia and Joe Judge as my offensive coordinators, when Matt Patricia is known for defense, and I think Joe Judge is known for special teams. You look, Bill Belichick, to your point, Chad, has to evolve with the times. How's he going to do it with the younger players? Because back then it was DYJ, do your job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a different time. And the college football now is not what it once was. Now the players, they have the NIL deals. They're making their money. They got the transfer portal. The reason why it's successful for Dion, not only because he has the connections and the resources like Bill Belichick, he's relatable with the players. He can talk the same type of language. He can spend his time trying to recruit these guys. And I don't know Bill Belichick at this prime. I'm not going to say he's not going to do a decent job in North Carolina, but the likelihood of him getting North Carolina to the top of the college football teams, nah. I think he took it because, A, he wanted something to do, because it seems like to me the NFL has evolved. and he hasn't. He hasn't gotten ahead with the times. So if you want a chance to be back in the NFL, you're gonna have to get ahead with the times. And I think he should have stayed retired because I like the Bill Belichick you see right now. You see him on Inside the NFL. You see him on Monday Night Football with Peyton and Eli. That's the type of Bill Belichick I like to see because when he's doing press conferences as a head coach, it's boring, like we're on to Cincinnati or something like that. Bill Belichick shows a lot more personality. And another thing, look, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for doing this. How the hell is Bill Belichick going to say no to this?
Oh my God.
Come on, Bill. Ain't that 24 years old, huh?
Man,
that's a beautiful woman right there that you currently dating with, and you go and take the head coaching job in North Carolina. Now, did she try to convince you into taking the job into North Carolina? Tell me the truth. Tell me the truth, Bill. What is it? Viagra ain't working for you? You need to upgrade your Viagra? Bill, you gonna say no to? I'm sorry. Here we go again. You gonna say no to that? 24 years old? That type of woman?
Oh man,
she fine. I mean, look, Belichick,
I mean, you're not. I mean, I wish I was dating her. I mean, I'm 21, but like,
you gonna say no to that, Bill? I mean,
I'm not gonna say no to that either. I mean, I'm 21.
I mean, Bill, I understand you want to. I mean, your father, I get it. Your father went to North Carolina, but it's gonna be hard to say no to that. She ain't gonna be around forever. So, am I wrong?
Man, it's the evil world we live in, bro. I'm gonna keep it a stack.
Who gonna say no to that?
I wouldn't say no to that.
That's like Champ. That's like Champ going to the spot, and if he sees a beautiful woman, he gonna tell me he gonna pass up on that?
Nope. Leave me out of this. Leave me out of this. We are not doing that today. You're not doing that today.
Can I just say this personally? Always go for a woman that's in your range. Thank you. That's all I'm gonna say.
Just go for it. Not just for in your range, also go for a woman that's also gonna support you there too.
Jesus.
That's a green flag.
And on another note, sometimes just remember, you're not ugly, you're just broke sometimes. Just remember that. But
facts.
Moving on, I hope Belichick does well. But the thing is, the concern, he's gonna have to evolve with the times. And how is he gonna try to recruit players the same way Prime is? Now, he has the connections and resources that Prime has, but at the same time, he's 70-something years old. Prime is still young enough. Prime still has the type of charisma and personality that he can talk to these players. How is Belichick going to do that? I disagree with Stephen A. Smith when he said it's beneath him to take this head coaching job. If that's what you want to do, hey, you don't need anyone's approval. I don't think it's beneath him at all. He probably wants to do it because his father used to be in that program. Maybe he wants something to do. Maybe he needs to show something. In the words of Janet Jackson, what have you done for me lately? So if he wants to have a chance to be back in the NFL, he's going to have to evolve with the times. And also with the college football times. You can't treat the college football players like football coaches did in the past. Because now with the NIL deals, now with the transfer portal, you do something to them, you rub them the wrong way, they're going to transfer. Well within their right. So Belichick is going to have to do his part to communicate with the guys. You can't treat the players, you can't treat the younger players like you did in your days in New England. They don't look at you like that. These are different generations. So he's going to have to do his part cultivating relationships with the younger players. But damn, Bill, you gonna say no? You gonna take the head coaching job, but meanwhile, I'm sorry. That's just tough for me to do.
That is such
Um,
a beautiful woman.
to be honest with you, I'm a look. Speaking of the transfer portal, look, you got to be careful because these guys will leave. Because hey, if you don't believe these young men will get off their behinds and enter that transfer portal, I'm gonna bring my little face into this camera right here. If you don't believe these young men will hit that transfer portal on your behind, just ask the University of Marshall at this point because they did not re-sign their coach and their whole darn team entered the transfer portal. Their whole team entered the transfer portal.
And also the University of Arizona too, because they lost like 21 players right now.
Exactly. So
Mhm.
these guys, look, I don't have to look. It's kind of like us, and I'm glad that it's like that. It's kind of like us in the real world. Hey, job ain't treating you right. All right, I'll take my services somewhere else for less stress and more money.
Right. The
Bottom
other
line.
thing, on a serious note, guys, if Bill Belichick does not do well, my thing, champ, because you brought up with the media and how they treat Prime, are they going to hold Bill Belichick to that same standard? Because the
They
thing
better.
is, if he doesn't do well, I don't want the media. And you know a very certain individual, champ. I won't say his name. The one who's been criticizing Deion Sanders any chance he gets. I think you know exactly who I'm referring to. My thing is with the media, are you going to be consistent? Because if Bill Belichick struggles, I don't care if it's his first or second year, are you going to hold him to the same standard like you did with Prime? And if the answer is no, because of his aura, because he's a 6-time Super Bowl champion head coach, then to me it is nothing more than a double standard, and they need to shut the bleep up.
Well, to be honest with you, when you got 6 Super Bowls, of course you're going to be held. You're going to get more grace than anybody. To be honest with you. Now, granted, Deion Sanders does have a reputation a mile long as far as his credentials in the NFL, as far as his coaching. You know, coached at Jackson State, brought them back, and they're still continuing on to this day. Their success, they're in a bowl game. They're in the Holiday Bowl to right now. And he helped put the SWAC back on the map, on the national media stage, I would say. You know, it's always been on the map as far as HBCUs are concerned, but on the national stage, he put them back on the map. But the thing is, you're going to get a lot more grace when you are a Super Bowl winner and you know how, and you've built not one but 2 teams. Because remember, people don't want to remember this, but the thing is, people want to always bring up the fact, well, he didn't succeed in Cleveland. Well, would you succeed in Cleveland when it's being announced that your team is being sold in the middle of the season and your team is 4-2? Heck no, you won't. So yeah, I don't blame him for not succeeding in Cleveland. My team is being sold while I'm in the middle of trying to win a Super Bowl. People don't want to take into account this. Before Art Modell, God rest his soul, announced that he was moving the team to Baltimore, the Cleveland Browns with Bill Belichick, they was 5-2 in first place. Yeah. And the year before, he went to the playoffs and won a playoff game with Vinny Testaverde as his quarterback. Yeah. So the thing is, when you got a resume that's a mile long, 2 tons long, not to mention he helped develop Burt Jones back in the 70s, you know, the Madison Avenue with Burt Jones, but I digress. When you have a rap sheet of being great all across the board, you're going to get a lot of grace. Should he be held to the fire? No. The thing is, and let's just keep it all the way at 100. The reason why Bill Belichick is going to get grace because he's not talking.
Unlike Prime.
And that's not saying anything derogatory towards Prime for those who are watching. When you are quiet about a lot of the things that you're trying to do, you're going to get a lot more grace than somebody who's talking. Let's just keep it honest. If you keep telling somebody, hey, I'm finna go take the trash out, in 2 hours to pass by and you know you ain't took the trash out, you can't get mad as you know what when they finally grab the bag and then take it out the doors and throw it in the dumpster themselves and say you're lazy.
Mm-hmm.
So of course Bill Belichick, as long as he is the Bill Belichick that we know, as far as the one in New England, he's gonna get a heck of a lot of grace.
But
Now, he just so happen to switch up then the criticism is going to be.
That's my point, Champ. If we see the Belichick in his last few years in New England, my question is with the media, are you going to hold him to the standard? Because as Shannon Sharp says, you got to update your resume. You don't get to live off the 6 Super Bowls and stuff. Okay, we know what you've done in New England. What are you doing now in college football? Yes, it's easy to target Prime because Prime is provocative. Prime does a lot of talking, and sometimes it's not easy for the media to deal with. Belichick, on the other hand, he probably won't get as much criticism as Prime because, again, he doesn't talk as much. My brother and I, we were having that discussion. But my thing is, wait a minute, Bill, you were here for a reason. And again, if we got to be consistent, we, not just the media, but the public, we got to be consistent. If Belichick slips up, then essentially what we're saying, if he slips up and if we don't hold him accountable, then essentially we're not doing our part, our job. And I feel like we're giving favoritism or biasism because of who he is, his aura, what he's accomplished. I get it. It's easy to target Prime because of his personality. But if Belichick struggles and if he doesn't turn around North Carolina, are we going to hold that against him? And plus, if he doesn't turn around in North Carolina, will this be further evidence as to say, you know what, if it weren't for Tom Brady? Because again, Shannon Sharp, he and Skip used to argue whether who deserved most of the credit. Was it Brady or Belichick? And Shannon Sharp has admitted that he was wrong about Tom Brady, that he owed Tom Brady a lot more credit than he deserved. Because after Tom Brady's departure from New England, we seen him go to Tampa and was able to win a Super Bowl and accomplish elsewhere. Belichick, on the other hand, he's got a lot to prove because this is new standards, new expectations. Again, in North Carolina, it's the ACC. So you're going to have to deal with that. I just hope that if he struggles, you hold him to the same standard as you will hold anybody else. And if you're not, then essentially, what does it say about us as the media, as content creators, podcasters like ourselves? We're not doing our jobs. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. But you know as well as I do, that even if, and that's a huge if, he fails, and it really depends on what you consider failure. Because now, if a coach makes it to a bowl, nowadays you got to make it to the college football playoffs if you want to be considered a great coach. Because you can rest assured they're going to be talking about if Coach Prime don't make it to the college football playoff within the next couple of years, they're going to start talking. Right. Having a bowl game just ain't enough now. And even when you make the college football playoff consistently, which Ryan Day has, they still have criticism about him because he can't beat Michigan. But the thing is, that a lot of biased media is going to give Bill Belichick a lot more grace because they say, hey, and this is what they're going to do. They're going to say, hey, this is just the cherry on top for his career. He had already won big ones and small ones and everywhere in between. Okay, the game has passed you by. This is just evidence of that. Sometimes failure can be the perfect send-off to say, hey, maybe the game has passed me by. That certain media members are going to say that.
Right.
So, and like I said, it's easy to get that grace. It's easy. When not only have you won before, especially when you got the most Super Bowl rings and conference championships in the NFL history, but also when you're not chirping. People are going to be saying, okay, well, you accomplished what you did in the NFL. Okay, you didn't succeed at North Carolina. Bye. Some media members are going to say that. We might not, but he's going to get that favoritism.
But keep in mind, champ, he does have some flaws. Spygate.
Yeah, but you know what? Like we say down south, man, you ain't cheating, you ain't trying hard enough.
But again, you make a great point, champ.
In football, I will say,
yeah, you make a great point, champ. But I just hope though that people just hold him to the same standard. And I get it with Prime. Like I'll say it again. Sorry if I sound redundant. Yes, Prime does say a lot. Prime is very outspoken. I just feel like if you don't hold Belichick to that standard by turning around that program, essentially what we're saying. You're just giving him a pass because of what he's accomplished, his aura. In your eyes, he can do nothing wrong. I just feel like you should hold everybody accountable, regardless of their accomplishments, regardless of before. Yes, you're a 6-time Super Bowl champion. That can't be taken away. You're one of the greatest head coaches in NFL history. But I'm going to be judging you based on what you've done in college. That's like with Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson, and champ, Phil Jackson is a great head coach, one of the greatest head coaches in NBA history. But need to remind folks, how did he do in New York when he was the president of basketball operations?
I mean, it speaks for itself. And to your point, you saw what he was not able to do when he didn't have a Jerry West or a Jerry Krause with him. But that's another story for another day.
BRF or Harrison, is there anything you want to add before we get into some NFL?
After that segment, I'm good. We can keep pushing. I'm good.
I got something to say.
Go ahead, Harrison.
I remember in his press conference, he said, remember Belichick's first words when he was like a baby? He said, beat Duke. And that honestly kind of triggered me a little bit. Because now I'm starting to hate North Carolina just because of that. So you know what, Bill Belichick? You ain't getting that bell back next year. Yeah, you're not going to be a good head coach next year. Well, I feel like you're going to get better next year. Now, next other year, different story. But you ain't getting my bell. You ain't getting the bell. You ain't getting that bell back. So, beat Duke. That's such a terrible first words.
But again, that woman is going to be hard to say no to that.
PSV, you're not wrong, bro. But
what do you want me to do? I can't help myself. Hey, champ, you said it yourself. It's the highlight of Friday night. You gave that coin term. So hey.